Let's see here. It's Thanksgiving Eve in the NBA, and the Phoenix Suns are tasked with a back-to-back going against their Pacific Division rival, the Golden State Warriors. Interesting little game that we had here. Scott Foster was out there on the court, and CP3 was back in town, as was Dario Saric. So a reunion of sorts, and for the first time in 4 years, seeing Scott Foster didn't evoke fear into the hearts of Suns fans. No. You're kind of like, well, what's going to happen tonight? And things happened. Oh, things happened. Suns win 5 in a row, baby. We've won 5 consecutive games with a game against Memphis upcoming. Could go to 6 if we win that one. But a big win for the Phoenix Suns. Matthew will be joining us live from the arena in a little bit to talk about the reaction from inside the footy. And I'm honored. I am blessed to be joined by a man who, if it has to do with the Phoenix Suns, you know he's going to make a video about it. Welcome to SunsGeek. Welcome back to the show, Brandon. How you doing?
Fantastic, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Thank you so much for also allowing me to, do the show on my channel as well.
Yes.
Really helps out my content. And I'm glad that we have this partnership. Love going live with both you and Matthew. You know, it's Thanksgiving now. I'm super excited. We got to talk about this crazy, crazy game, man.
Absolutely. We're going to try to hit this from all angles. I'll talk about why I didn't really watch much of the third quarter, but plenty to talk about. Most importantly, the Suns win. And, we're rolling now. This is 5 consecutive games ever since Frank Vogel. Scott Foster's on the brain. Ever since Frank Vogel said, you know what, we're gonna slow down. We're not going to utilize Bradley Beal. We're not going to play this day-to-day shit anymore. You have the Suns starting to understand who their roles are, and they can consistently come in night after night and execute those roles. And even though it was a shaky fourth quarter, how's it feel to be on a 5-game win streak this year, man?
Feels fantastic. Look, I know it wasn't the prettiest, and we are going to dive into it. And yes, the fourth quarters do need to be addressed, but damn it, I don't care. We've won 5 in a row. And for the most part, this team is clicking. I'm excited. And I know it's still early in the season, but this is a good time to win 5 in a row.
Absolutely it is, especially considering the team started 4-6, and there's, kind of frustration about, if you will, and everybody's just like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's up with the Phoenix Suns? They're starting to dial in. They're starting to understand who and what they can become. Still a lot of opportunity out there, and I know that we'll talk about that on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, which is also simultaneously being viewed on the SunsGeek channel. So if you happen to be watching on either one of the channels, thank you for taking a little time out of your Thanksgiving Eve to do so. And hit that thumbs up button. Smash the Hulk button, as SunsGeek would say. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification, which will let you know whenever we go live. If you happen to be watching on Twitter or Twitch or Facebook or Instagram Live, appreciate you too. Just do what you do. Enjoy the show. We truly appreciate it. I know that you're cracking open a cold one with me, Brandon. You got it.
Yeah, man. I don't know about you, but I've been
Coors
off all
Light,
week.
Baby.
Yeah, I got Coors Light,
Cheers.
Man. It's just one of those things. It was a crazy game, man. We got to pop one open.
Pop it. Let's talk about this Suns victory over the Dubs. Win for the Phoenix Suns by a final score of 123-115. Suns, now 9-6 on the season, have gone to 500 at home. They're now 4-4 at home, which is key. Which brings me to my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
SunsGeek, I gotta ask. You take a look at this game, coming into it, knowing that CP3 is coming back, and Scott Foster throws him out. Before halftime, throws him out. Disappointed? Par for the course? Relieved? What'd you feel when that happened?
Okay, I'll just say this. Even if, let's just pretend Chris Paul was playing for the Phoenix Suns and that exact sequence happened and the ejection happened, I honestly would have reacted the same way, which was me laughing. I laughed at it because, one, it wasn't like the hardest foul ever. It kind of seemed like a weak foul in a way. And again, I don't know if Scott Foster said something first or if Chris Paul just kept barking, which that kind of did look like the case. And then, well, I'm sure we're going to talk about it. We all know what he said at one point, but they just kept jawing at each other, which, we could probably spend a good amount of time talking about how probably referees shouldn't do that because, in Scott Foster and Chris Paul and everything. But I found it funny. I hope one day there is a documentary series about this, and I'm not even joking. But it was just weird. It was just weird, man, because again, it wasn't like the hardest foul ever. I don't know what Chris Paul was so upset about, but again, this clearly was brewing. And I honestly hope they probably won't, but I honestly hope the NBA does kind of look into this incident because I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I first saw it, I giggled a little bit because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, CP3 now plays for the enemy, and having him come back here, and there was one play a little bit earlier before that where he baited Kevin Durant into a call. Kevin Durant was, running was backing up the court, and Chris Paul, got bumped, and he was kind of wryly smiling at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's like, you motherfucker, you got me, Chris Paul, you little foul baiter, you got me. And then the whole incident happened. And in that moment, I felt like a Suns fan.
Yeah.
Because I've seen and I've experienced what it's like to have Chris Paul on your team and know that you're being officiated by Scott Foster. I think 2-17 is Chris Paul's all-time record in 19 games against, or at least the last 19 games with Scott Foster as an official. And that's wrong. That's wrong. That you can sit there and go, oh, well, this official's going to be on the court. There's going to be some sort of friction. There's going to be a lot of whistles that aren't going to go in the favor of my team. And you enter it defeated. And we know what that's like as Suns fans because we caught Scott Foster in playoff games, highly leveraged games with Scott Foster. And because of an official, there's a bias that occurs. And I guarantee you, I don't have the statistics in front of me, SunsGeek, but I guarantee you that if you see Scott Foster on a CP3 game, the line moves in Vegas. It must move in Vegas because of that bias. So when that moment occurred, I was with you too. I laughed. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I thought it was funny, man.
Yeah. I was like, and then you see what he did.
And they started barking.
He started barking. And on the Arizona sports feed, you could see that he called him a bitch. He goes, you're a bitch. He said it twice.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I grabbed my phone and I paused the TV and I rewound it. And then I recorded it. And then I threw a tweet out there. And that tweet went fucking nuts. Like, here's Hoop Central retweeted it. Says, you're a bitch. Chris Paul to Scott Foster. Hat tip at Darth Voita. And it had the video of that. And that video is free. I mean, if you look, it says 1.6 million views as of the time I just snipped that. Like,
I'm honored to be, podcasting with somebody who's so famous right now, man. Like, I even tweeted you immediately. I was like, John, you're a legend. I started blowing up your phone. I'm sure half of those notifications were from me alone.
well, what happened was it like all of a sudden, like I tweeted it and it instantly my phone just like, and so like I text Matthew and I text you and I sent you guys links to it. You're like, oh, I'm like, oh shit. And the text wouldn't go through. I couldn't text anybody for 45 minutes because my phone was absorbing all the notifications that are still going on right now. If I go on right now, it's still just like notification. Multiple media outlets took that little snippet of video, retweeted it, and then obviously all the notifications on top of that. It was very interesting that my first viral moment as somebody who covers the Phoenix Suns for Bright Side of the Sun. If you haven't, check out brightsideofthesun.com. Dave King already wrote a piece about it. But it was really funny how Aussie Suns fan in the chat. He's like, the Twitter chat got your message. LOL. Yeah, the only people I could hit up is like, I finally like hit you up on Instagram. And I was like, we have a little Suns Potter Fodder text chain group, and I was texting them.
By the way, when we did that whole thing.
That's a JP3 original, by the way. But it was interesting because, and the reason it went viral is two reasons. One, it's timing. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Everybody's watching this game. If you're a basketball fan, you're watching this game because you're home. You don't got to work tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
So you're around, you're watching, like, oh, this is fucking ridiculous. And then you go on, to check to see what's going on. And then they have my video there resent a million times. And two, it's because of this bias that occurs. What are your thoughts on that? That's not right that Scott Foster creates such an insane bias, even though it worked in the Suns' favor. We shot 52 free throws tonight. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But what do you think about the whole Scott Foster situation now that it's going on? It benefited us finally after the first time in 4 years.
I'm probably going to sound like a complete, bias and a homer. And I don't even know if this really makes sense, but it kind of felt good, for us to be on the good side of a Scott Foster thing, maybe up until the late fourth quarter and everything. But it's kind of weird, though, because I kind of felt like Chris Paul was still on the Suns when that happened. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel like kind of a homer, and maybe that's why I laughed, and I was really trying to watch closely what they were, complaining and barking about with each other. But it was kind of weird. But, and look, I might get stoned in the comments for saying this. And look, it clearly has to be addressed. I said that earlier in the show. I hope the NBA investigates it and everything. Mm-hmm. But in a way, it's kind of good for the NBA because it kind of gets people talking. It gets the eyes on the game. It gets people on social media. But that's not what it's about. The whole principle of the matter is that there is clearly something wrong, some big issue between Scott Foster and Chris Paul, and it needs to be addressed. And you said it, man. What, 2-17 is Chris Paul's record?
That's
How long
dumb.
Has Chris Paul been in the NBA? Since 2005? Yeah. NBA, Adam Silver, Mark Tatum, etc. Please do something about Scott Foster. I don't even know if that answers your question.
It's true, though.
It's
true, though. It's ridiculous. And again, it worked in our favors. And here we are on the other side of it, benefiting from his jackassery. And we still understand that it's wrong. Like, I'm not saying that keeping CP3 in wins this game. I'm not saying that
they still probably would have lost.
I think so. I think the Suns had him handled. And, we'll talk about the fourth quarter and how the Suns gave up 40 points in the fourth quarter to their scrubs.
Can we not talk about
Yeah, we're going to have to, unfortunately. It's always the goddamn fourth quarter with the Siemens turnovers in the fourth quarter. That's the frustrating thing. It's when they take their mind off the game and they take a step back and they're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a nice easy win. We'll just kind of sprint out the quarter and then they suck. But finalizing the point on Scott Foster and CP3, they got to do better than that. Like, you got to do better than that. There's got to be accountability to that. That's the key. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, and it's been a while, I think, since I've bitched about the refs. I think it's the first time I'm bitching about the refs on behalf of the opposing team. I think that's literally a Suns jam session first in our 529th episode. But there needs to be accountability. There needs to be fines, public fines, mind you. And there needs to be better training. And I've said this for a long time. When you have people like Scott Foster, who, when his career's done, he will graduate into this lore of officials who are training officials, and you need to have a better system there to ensure that they know how to officiate games correctly. I mean, we've seen it throughout the season. That last game, Kevin Durant was getting called for some bullshit by that one ref. I forget her name, but she was doing a horrible job.
The female ref. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Horrible job. I was sitting there watching the game. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. And again, I was having some conversations with the people sitting around me at the game, and we were talking about accountability and fines and things of that nature, to where it's like, listen, Scott Foster, you pulled the trigger way too early. You allowed your ego to enter the equation, which should not. You were there to officiate the game, not to be part of the game. And in turn, that means you need to negate your ego as much as it might be bruised in those situations. Because guess what? If you insert your ego into these games, you're going to get fined pretty heftily for those actions. And it's going to be a public fine, so people know, just like an NBA player. Draymond Green gets fined X amount of dollars and is suspended X amount of games. Same thing for bad officiating. And you have to have a third-party system that allows you to objectively look at those situations and determine what those fines are. And it's too much internal. It's too much good old boy stuff. And it just wasn't, it's just not acceptable for basketball. That's it. That's it. We'll talk about the game. Anything else to add?
Just real quick. Scott Foster took up 10 minutes of the podcast?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's
That
probably
son of
not
a
going to be the
bitch.
last time we're going to talk about him. So congratulations, Scott Foster. You got the attention you wanted.
That son of a bitch. He's still doing it. Still doing it. Which player do you want to talk about first, SunsGeek?
Oh, man. Can we talk about, you know what? Let's talk about Kevin Durant.
I like it. Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Wayne Durant in this game ends up going over the 30-point mark because he had to be brought back in the game. 32 points scored on 7 of 14. Only 7 of 14. 14 shots to make 32 points. That's what we call pretty good. It's because he was 15 of 15 from the free throw line, mind you. Had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. And the turnover bug came back to bite him, especially in that fourth quarter. 6 total turnovers. But what did you see from Kevin Durant tonight? And what have you seen from Kevin Durant thus far? What kind of things are you talking about on your channel relative to Kevin Durant?
Yeah, well, a couple days ago after that crazy double overtime thriller against the Jazz, I made sort of just like a recap video. I don't know why I didn't go live that night. I shame on me for not doing that, but pretty much just made a video saying he has been incredible. And yeah, the turnovers are bad. I was arguing with somebody in my comment section about that, so I'll take the L about that. But I don't even care about the turnovers, man. This dude is second in the NBA in scoring right now in points per game or whatever it is. And in my personal opinion, I don't care what the Suns record is, man. He belongs in the MVP conversation. He's
100%.
getting any shot he wants. Doesn't matter who's guarding him. Doesn't matter how good of a contest you have. And there were a few good contests tonight by the Warriors players. It doesn't matter. That ball is going in the rim. And you know what? It feels good to be on the side of the whistle sometimes because you mentioned 15 for 15 from the free throw line. It's good that he actually gets to the line. I mean, he's Kevin Durant. You know, he's going to get – he could play for the Charlotte Hornets and he would get to the free throw line. But you get the point. He's playing incredible right now. And, you know, I keep seeing these things here and there like, oh, man, you know, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant should be co-MVPs or be in that conversation. And, you know, this is just proving it why, because I'm sure we're going to talk about Booker later, but they both been fantastic, besides the turnovers and the fourth quarters.
Yeah, and I know that we've brought up turnovers on our podcast as well, and you do have those KD stands who come in and there's like, dude, all you're doing is talking about the turnovers. No, we're talking about his complete game. Like, we love Kevin Durant. He's an automatic bucket. It's amazing to have that on your team. It's unbelievable. You know, the Warriors put together a 7-0 run, right? The Suns are up 40-35.
Yep.
7-0 run, 42-40, just like that. And Kevin Durant comes down, hits one of those tough 17-footers, and next thing you know, the Suns go on a 14-0 run. That is a Kevin Durant as a catalyst.
Preach.
Okay? But at the same time, like, he does have aspects of his game where because of his height, he's 7 feet tall. When you bounce the ball like that and you're being guarded by shorter guys, guess what? When you bounce the ball down, you're closer to them, and it's easy for them to swipe at it. And that's what happens. Unfortunately, that's what happens. You know, you take a look at the top 10 MVP candidates. I don't know if you know this, but on Basketball Reference, they have an MVP tracker, and they have it by percentage, and it's always changing. Right now, Nikola Jokic has a probability of 52.7%, and the other 9 players on the list make up the other 48%. Okay, Kevin Durant's not on that list, he should be. And as you mentioned, Geek, that is a crime because of how efficient he's been. It was a crime that he didn't win the Western Conference Player of the Week last week.
Yeah.
It really was, in my opinion, because of the way that he has just been scoring, holding his team together, playing every game, and doing so in such an efficient manner. That's what's impressive to me, is his splits are just absolutely ridiculous. You know, again, the turnover bug, you know, that's definitely something of note.
It's a team issue too. It's not just KD.
It is. Well, it's because there's 100%. That's a great statement. Because there's multiple factors in the fact that he has to carry the team at times, and the doubles are coming at him, and he's not having the opportunity to, you know, people aren't rotating. You know, sometimes they're blitzing KD, and the team just stands there's like, hey, I'm over here. It's like, no, run towards him, man. Go get the ball from him. But he is averaging, prior to this game, 3.9 turnovers per game. That's 6th most in the NBA. That's where he's at right now. But I'll take that if he's scoring he was at 31.4 points per game prior to this game. He scored 32 tonight, so that's going to go up. And Joel Embiid is at 31.9.
Yeah.
So it's like he's scoring the most in the league. So I will definitely take the turnovers along the way. Are they frustrating in the fourth quarter? Absolutely. But what we're seeing from Kevin Durant, I have a piece coming out on Bright Side of the Sun tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving. I wrote it tonight, and it just says, be thankful for Kevin Durant.
Yep.
And it's literally like
Preach.
an article for like 600 words. I just fanboy over the fact that we have Kevin Durant. It's like, be thankful for this, Suns fans, because we know what it's like 5 years ago. Unless you're a bandwagoner and new to the franchise, welcome. We appreciate it. Hit the like button. But if you've been with us for more than 5 years, you were praying for somebody like Kevin Durant who was a run stopper. Because back in the day, those 7-0 runs were 15-0 runs real quick because you didn't have anybody who could stop them.
Exactly. And John, I know that you know a lot about Phoenix Suns history, just like I do. I mean, with your beautiful artwork in the background and everything. But let's be real, man. And don't get me wrong, the Suns have had some incredible players and incredible scorers on their team in the franchise history. But nobody like Kevin Durant, man.
Hell
nobody.
No.
And that's why I 100% agree with you. Like, I will back up. I will be a fanboy, a homer, whatever you want to call me. I will back up KD. I'll back up Booker. Heck, I'll even back up Bradley Beal for as long as I possibly can because they play for the Phoenix Suns and because we've never seen anybody like Kevin Durant, like ever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thankful for Kevin Durant is what I'm saying.
Yeah, his career average is more than our highest single season scoring average in franchise history. 27.2, Tom Chambers, 1990. That's the golden mark, right? Devin Booker went over it last year, but he didn't play in 55 games, so it technically doesn't qualify. Kevin Durant averages 27.3 points in his entire fucking career. Like, he is a bucket getter. He's about to move. I think most likely, he's, it was like 75 points. So he's like 38 points away from moving into 10th all time on the all-time scoring list. The dude's a fucking bucket getter. Enjoy what he brought tonight for the Phoenix Suns.
And eventually he'll be in the Suns categories and Suns records, because clearly he did it all with OKC and the Warriors and everything. But like, eventually he might, at least be up there in some of the records or categories or whatever.
He will for single season shit. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. Single season.
100%. 100%. A couple things that I saw in this game, especially right at the beginning. Poor perimeter defense has plagued the Phoenix Suns this entire season thus far.
You tweeted about that.
Yeah, and it was apparent in that first quarter because Klay Thompson was hitting wide open threes, but ultimately everything kind of evens itself out. The Warriors, who are a team that shoots at a high efficiency, only shot 31.2% from beyond the arc. They were 10 of 32 in this game. The Suns were 11 of 28, 39.3%. Do you think that this is going to be a reoccurring problem, or will the team just learn how to fucking rotate on the weak side so they don't have wide open 3-pointers anymore?
First off, I did notice, the whole perimeter defense thing, because I kept noticing, like, Klay Thompson, first off, has way too much space and they're launching too many threes, really just as a team, or they were getting too many mid-range shots as well. And look, man, this is hard for me to answer because maybe I'm easily impressionable or whatever the case may be. But I've been listening to Frank Vogel a lot, and we know Frank Vogel preaches defense. So I don't really know if this answers the question necessarily, but I hope we can clean up the perimeter defense and the defense in the fourth quarter overall, because, this is the NBA, man. You can be the worst team in the NBA, and if you're left wide open, you're probably going to score. I mean, this is it's a shooter's league, you know what I mean? And you take what the defense gives you, and we do have what I assume is some good defenders on this team.
I agree.
And we've seen better defense throughout stages and flashes of that defense, but we haven't put it all together. Even on the offensive end, we haven't put it all together for 48 minutes. And that's sort of the alarming thing, or the red flag thing, whatever word you want to use. But the defense does have to be addressed. And I hope Frank Vogel keeps on preaching that in the locker room. But yeah, man. I don't know.
I agree. I think that the Suns are right now 20th in defensive rating. That's not Frank Vogel-esque.
Yeah, exactly.
7th in offensive rating, which is understandable, but 20th. And a lot of it is allowing the opposition to get second chance points, and they're not defending the perimeter as well as they probably could. And I like what D'acre13 says in the chat. He says Devin Booker, who was the early primary defender on Clay, was drifting away from Clay a lot in the high corner. Early, he went 3/4. We've been seeing that from Booker a lot this year on the defensive end. He is on the weak side, and this is something he used to do early in his career. On the weak side, he just sags off his who he's supposed to be defending because he's trying to assist in the paint. And it goes back to those Point Booker years. When it was Point Booker, he wanted to be close to the paint. So if a rebound happened, he was right there and he could start initiating the offense. So instead of staying home on defense, actions happening on the other side of the court, he's going to leak in, maybe pick off a rebound or at least be there, to get a rebound from the rebounders and initiate the offense. And ultimately what happens is good teams know that if you pick the opposition apart and you go towards the middle and you attack the cylinder and that compression occurs in the paint, you can dish it out in 2 passes and Booker's who he's defending, in this case, Klay Thompson, wide the fuck open.
Yep.
You can't do that. And these are fundamental things that the Suns will have to continue to work on because the offense is going to be there.
Yep.
But if this team can be a top third of the league defense, a 10th or better defense, they can be an elite team.
Yep.
And that's what's holding them back, is this disengagement kind of throughout the game, coupled with the fact that they're having a hard time staying focused on the defensive end.
And that's what's sort of tricky too. And I've talked about this in some of my past live shows is, I mean, again, I said it earlier, like this is a shooters league. It's an offensive driven league. So 100%. I don't know if it's just maybe some teams like let's say the Jazz, for example, recently, or even tonight with the Warriors, just some teams have great shooting nights against us, or if it really is, as you worded it, the disengagement on the defensive end for the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm kind of torn on that. But as the games go on, I'm leaning towards it's just bad Suns defense or not Frank Vogel top 10 even. At least get us into the top 10, man. You said we were like 20th or whatever. Like
20th.
That is unacceptable, man. Like, and look, I know that we don't have like, obviously we're an offensive driven team, but we do have good defenders on this team, a lot of length, a lot of versatility, but I'm not seeing the defensive consistency night in and night out. And maybe one day that will happen, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's going to take time. Frank Vogel has to initiate his system. And with all the new players, I get it. And with injuries occurring, I get it. But at the same time, I've yet to really see that growth, if you will. And I guess maybe you could say there was some growth in this game, although it was a choppy game with the whistle being as blown as much as it was, where the Warriors shot 29 free throws, where the Suns shot 52. Okay, that's 81 free throws in this game. That's a lot of stoppage and not having the ability to get any fluidity for either team on offense. So looking at Devin Booker tonight.
Big Dick Booker.
Booker tonight ends with 25 points and 10 assists. 8 rebounds. He can't get to that regular season triple double. Fuck. But 5 of 15 from the field, much akin to Kevin Durant. A lot of his points came at the free throw line. They combined for 29 free throws. The Warriors shot 29 free throws. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker combined shot 29 free throws.
I love it.
But 5, yeah, I do too. We've been court. I should sit here and say, hey, some of those were not great. I don't give a shit, man.
Yeah.
As Suns fans, we've been cornholed
exactly
for years on free throws. I don't want to hear it. Like, I haven't looked it up on Stat Head to see how many times Devin Booker shot 14 free throws, but I guarantee you, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry have shot 14 free throws, way more than the Phoenix Suns.
Exactly.
After the 52 free throw attempts, Vogel stated in the post-game press conference, we know they foul a lot. And that was made apparent. But what did you see from Devin Booker? Again, not a great night relative to shooting percentage. You saw 33% from the field.
Yeah.
He still kind of has to get his sea legs under him. It feels like we're starting to, this is kind of being a reoccurring thing, inefficient Booker nights.
I'm going to kind of get a little optimistic here. And again, Suns fans might disagree with me in the comments, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say right here, man. Maybe this is a good thing, though. Because think about it, man. We've seen some inconsistencies with really a lot of this Suns team, and obviously the injuries and everything. But think about it. It's still still early in the season. Eventually, as you mentioned, Booker might find his sea legs or whatever. The shot might start falling. He'll be a little more consistent, hopefully, or efficient, or whatever word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, man. Like Kevin Durant's cooking. And, we've had great production from other guys like Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon, et cetera, et cetera. But think about it, man. Like once Bradley Beal comes back, maybe that's like the game where Booker starts cooking more consistently. And, another L that I will take, and I will always repeat it on my channel and even on here, is I was wrong about Point Booker, man. I was wrong about Point Book. And I know Bradley Beal will eventually make his way. Maybe he'll be the point guard, but I want the ball in Devin Booker's hands. He just keeps on proving me wrong. You can just tell he learned a lot from Chris Paul.
Agreed.
And even if it was just like a little pass here and there, just him just controlling the game, slowing things down. Like there was one play in particular where I think Devin Booker like drew a double team. Eric Gordon was in the corner and then cut, and Booker found him. Like it's just little things like that, man. And Point Booker is here to stay. I am proud of it. And again, I'm trying to stay positive. Hopefully that Devin Booker consistent night from the field comes sooner rather than later.
Hey, I'll tell you this, okay? Since Devin Booker's come back, the Suns are 5-0.
Exactly.
Okay, so if he's struggling a little bit with his efficiency and we're still winning ball games, good. That's fine. Since he's returned, he's shooting 34% from beyond the arc. That's the one area where he could probably increase himself a little bit. Yeah. But entering tonight in his past 4 games, he had 8.5 assists. So you add this one to the fray. Let's see. So he had a 5, a 15, so that's 20, 28, 34, 44 divided by 5. So he's still in that, 9-something range.
You're way better at math than I am.
Sitting there, I'm mathing on the fly. So forgive me if I come out wrong. But yeah, I feel like Booker hasn't hit his stride, and that's okay. I think the key for him is to avoid the turnovers. Since he's returned, 2 turnovers, 1 turnover, 3 turnovers, 1 turnover. Tonight, he had 3 turnovers. So he is, while he's racking up these big assist numbers, his assist to turnover ratio is acceptable. And that's the key to a successful Point Booker. And you're right. Since he's returned, there's been stabilization to this offense. Somebody who understands Kevin Young's system and has the ability to attack it and to just manage the floor. That's what we were missing with him out. And I think that that's very important that in his return that he's been able to do that. And the Suns are winning ball games, baby. And that's all you can ask for.
Exactly, man.
Biscuits in the Bear in the chat. I don't know if you know this, SunsGeek, but after every Phoenix Suns win, whatever the point differential is, Biscuits and the Bear donates it to the podcast. So thank you for supporting the podcast. $8 in the donation. Biscuits and the Bear says, I thought for sure it was going to be a 30-plus point differential tonight.
Seemed maybe like that for a minute.
Hopefully Friday we get a huge blowout. Yeah, I hope so too, because again, I want them to win by 700 points, Biscuits and the Bear, just to see how dedicated you are to donating. And then D. Aker, 13. I love Voita's work on Bright Side of the Sun. It's Elbow Jumper here. I know who that is. I see you in the chat. You comment on a lot of stuff. So thank you for commenting on the pieces that we put together on Bright Side of the Sun. Truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate all of your support. Next guy I want to talk about.
Nasty Nas, what you square dance with me?
Little, another great game, back-to-back great games. I wrote a piece on him for Brightside actually today, talking about how he is seizing his opportunity with Yuta Watanabe out. He goes out tonight, plays a total of 27 minutes, SunsGeek, 4 of 9 from the field, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, little stat stuffing son of a bitch, that Nassir Little.
I love what I'm seeing out of Nassir Little, man. I was a little overhyping him when we first got him. And then, he struggled kind of out the gate, didn't really play much and everything. But over these last few games, he's showing a lot of Suns fans what he can do. And this is what I love about basketball, man. This is what I love about sports, really, is guys take advantage of the minutes when other guys are out. And they said this on the broadcast. I wrote this down, that Frank Vogel said the intensity and the energy level skyrockets when he's on the floor. I think we went like on a 10-1 run at one point, and I swear to God, he had like most of those points. he had that one like poster dunk or whatever, a couple highlight flushes. And, there was that one play where he just like, I think he took the rebound, drove it up the court and just threw it down, man. But it's not just that too. Sometimes it's just the little plays that don't show up on the stat sheet, whether it's like an offensive rebound or just him hustling, on the defensive end or whatever the case may be. I'm loving what I'm seeing about him. And really, I think the biggest stat of the night was 27 minutes. That is huge, man. And look, obviously Booker and KD, and whenever Beal gets back, they can give you 90 or more a game. So any points that he provides is just a bonus. I can't wait to read your piece on Bright Side of the Sun about it, because he definitely deserved that piece.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he, as you mentioned, plays with that energy, and Frank Vogel mentioned the way that he plays with that energy. And my big question mark around Nassir Little, we all knew that he had the talent, that he was the number 2 prospect coming out of high school in Orlando, Florida, when he joined the University of North Carolina, and then came out in the 2019 draft. I mean, he was a high talent, high upside guy. And due to injury and inconsistency, he just hasn't had the opportunity to be unlocked, if you will. Yeah. It's been a very, very small sample size.
Yeah.
But if some way, the Phoenix Suns could unlock Nassir Little, that would be absolutely huge for this team and this franchise. He's a mid-level guy. He makes $6 million a year, but he's 22 years old. 23, 22, 23. He's 23. He's about to be 24. He's a young guy, is what I'm saying. He has athletic ability. He has basketball acumen, and he's in a system that's going to allow him to flourish and be productive. And he's taking advantage of it right now. So appreciate it, because this is what happens. We get really high on a guy, and he'll go into a lull, and then the next guy will step up. And that's what you want. If you have a good team, that's what's happening. He starts to lull out a little bit. He's putting together enough games to have enough tape on him and what he does and how he attacks on both ends of the floor. Opposing teams start to scout against that. Boom. His production goes down. Boom. Now here comes Yuta Watanabe. He's back. He's hitting threes. He's running around like a madman on defense. He doesn't know what he's doing. We don't know what he's doing, but it's a good time because he's out there just stroking the 3 ball. So that's how the regular season kind of goes. As long as you have the talent to do these things, I really think that that's what's going to make this team successful in the long run. And I really appreciate what he brings and the energy in which he does it. I love Nassir Little, man. I love Lamp.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, man. And obviously this is a team of veterans, and obviously we're going to be contending for the foreseeable future, but he's 23 years old. We got a couple other younger guys on the team, maybe development, if you will, or project players, if you will. And hey, I know it may not last all season, but he's off to a good start.
That's a good word, project player. I think that's a good description of who Nassir Little is. Leah Lerner in the chat, $1.99. Thank you again for donating to the podcast and to donating to our show and the content that both SunsGeek and myself create. We really are dedicated. We really do care. We really do. Let's see. Who else did I have in here? I did want to talk real quick about because again, like I said, with my phone just going absolutely fucking bonkers for the entire third quarter, and I'm just like, dude, I can't text people. What is going on? I didn't see what happened to this.
Big Crank Eubanks.
Crank that soul. Now I mean you. Crank that soul. Now I mean you. Crank that soul. Now I mean you. Crank that soul. Now what?
Talking about how some guys will, they'll play really well, and you're like, wow, that guy's playing amazing. Put him in the starting lineup, then they kind of dip a little bit. Eubanks is kind of on the back end of a dip, if you will. 16 minutes played tonight, had the 6 rebounds, had the 6 points, left with an ankle injury. What did you see? What happened? I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either, but I did upload a highlight to Twitter where 3 Phoenix Suns players attempted to block a shot, and Drew Eubanks was the one that blocked it. Now,
yes,
it was weird because if I can pull it up on my phone right now, I believe he got back on defense. So maybe that was it, but I didn't see it. I didn't see him grimacing in pain. Maybe it was something that quickly happened after, but even the Suns on their Twitter account posted like he has the injury, he won't return.
Yeah.
That's a little alarming. Like I'm watching the play right now and I'm like, just looking closely if he like grimaces or anything. I'm like
zooming in.
Yeah, I'm like zooming in. I'm like, I didn't see it.
It looked like he jammed his ankle if it was anything.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. That was weird, but I hope he's okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
He's another guy that's proved me wrong, and I know he's sort of on a decline or whatever, but he sometimes has big plays and big moments here and there that I love, especially his big poster dunks.
Peaks and valleys.
Yeah, peaks
but
and valleys.
with his injury, it opens up the door for Chimezie Metu.
Hey, I just
Metu.
And this is crazy, but here's my number.
4.
So call me maybe.
Metu got some run tonight. I think he played 6 minutes last night. He got 12 tonight. He was 2 of 3 from the field. Did miss his that 1 3-pointer. 4 points, 2 rebounds, couple blocks as well. And I thought it was actually a good matchup for a while. I'm like, hey, we got Chimezie Metu in here. You got Dario Saric out there. I think this could really play in the favor of the Suns. And Dario Saric started to chew him up a little bit in that fourth quarter. But what did you see from Chimezie Metu? What were your expectations coming into the season? And how do you think that he could be utilized for moving forward if Eubanks is ultimately injured?
Maybe I sound like a casual here, but I didn't have really any expectations. Like I knew who he was, but I was like, we signed him. Like what? Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those. But from the little film I've watched, if you will, I do see the potential. I do see the vision. He's got good size and everything. Could maybe be a contributor on the offensive end, but I kind of say that, with a little bit of hesitancy and all that. But it is sort of like I was saying with Nassir Little and everything, and even Drew Eubanks. It goes back to kind of those like little plays here and there. Like again, he had a couple blocks tonight, but
yeah,
I do know he kind of struggled kind of late in this game. And look, Dario is still a pretty young guy in some NBA terms, but he's clearly been in the league longer than Metu, and it did show tonight. Hey, what's up, Matthew?
Oh shit, Matthew's coming to us live from the Footprint Center. Matthew,
Hola.
can you hear? How are you doing?
Yeah. Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I know we got 18 minutes till Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah. Hey, it's been like Thanksgiving 4 hours for where SunsGeek's at. I like how right over your head it's like Suns win.
Let's
That's
go.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done.
I tried to find a spot. Everyone's trying to get out of here early. I feel like starting super late. But
yeah,
what's up? What are you guys talking about?
No, what are you talking about? What do you got for us coming? We're just talking about Chimezie Metu.
Oh yeah, okay. So some decent minutes. No one really talked about him in the presser.
Yeah, what happened in the presser?
Yeah, so they talked about how they knew Golden State had a lot of issues turning the ball over because it's like the free throws itself. They know how to foul, right? But they also know how to turn the ball over. There's a lot of instances there where the Suns would go on runs, forcing easy turnovers just because Golden State plays so fast. They talked about. Other than that, really, I mean, they talked about just I don't know. Ask me a question. What else did they talk about?
Did they talk about my tweet?
For real.
They did talk about the Chris Paul ejection. They did mention they know the history between Scott Foster and Chris Paul, and they know the fact that it was boiling up to that point. They knew the one technical was coming. Booker and KD both said that, but they didn't think the second one was going to be that quick. So maybe tomorrow at Thanksgiving or here in 16 minutes they can get together. And they can hang out and maybe forgive each other because I don't know what's going on with that relationship because that's crazy he got ejected so early in the game.
It was kind of disappointing. So we were only left with one former member of the Phoenix Suns who I was getting ready to talk about. We're talking about Chimezie Metu. He had a hard time in that fourth quarter guarding none other than the smoke break.
The Saric smoke break.
Dario Saric tonight off the bench, 22 minutes, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. What was it like seeing Super Dario in person actually playing like a fucking basketball player again, Matthew?
Yeah, he was an animal. He almost won the game. The question was like, why is Clay and Steph still on the bench? But it was mostly because that bench was playing so good for Golden State, getting them back in the game, and it was led by Dario in the fourth quarter. It was scary. It's like you don't want to see him. Out of the two guys, out of him and Chris Paul, it's actually Dario to come back and haunt the Suns. They talked about that and how it's just great to go up against him. And Booker did talk about just the one-on-one they would have in practice. And that's a big body, right? Seeing him actually practicing before the game, you can see him lumber around, get that shot up. It's a big dude. So big butt. I did have a picture I've been bending over, but I did not post it. All right,
Oh,
because we are
you should-
professional now.
You should have posted.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
That's what the Suns Jam Session Twitter thing for is for the unprofessional, immature tweets.
Yeah.
Whenever I have a point to make, and I'm like, okay, this is a good point. I post it from like my Twitter feed, but if I'm like, this is dumb and stupid and childish, I'm like, let me just swipe over to the Suns Jam Session one and tweet it from there. Well, since I got you both on the pod, I got a trivia time for you.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
With everybody in the chat, you can answer this as well. No Googling, although this might be hard to Google. So the Suns shot 52 free throws tonight. Okay. The last time that they did that was January 19th of 1992 or something. Some stupid number.
That's what you put. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my question for both of you and the chat. What is the record for most free throws shot by the Phoenix Suns in their history? Give
70?
me a number. All right.
I'm gonna
SunsGeek
say
says 70.
I'm gonna say 61.
61. Chat. I'll let you think about that question again. And if you're driving around, listen to the podcast, or you're trying to avoid your family, you just finished having some Thanksgiving gravy, and you're sipping the Thanksgiving gravy just right out of the little gravy cup thing, whatever that's called, and you're in a back closet by yourself, just say it out loud what you think that your guess is. So we have Sir Hamo, who's joining us from the Aussie Suns Fan Podcast. He says 82. David Ray says 50. Suns Fever says 63. Leah says she's never seen you without a hat. CL Oracle says 69. Oh my God. Todd Peterson, 63. And Leah says you're much hotter without it, Matthew, just so you know. 54 from Prescott Matt. Have mercy. 52 from Carlos Mamone. Michael Kolb, 62. 58 from Jason L. If somebody's just walking in to that into that closet where you're sipping gravy and they're listening to the podcast and they're hearing the numbers, they're like, what's going on? Harlem Vega, 73. Lazy Sasquatch, 55. Brian Herrera, 1992 is the answer. The answer is 80.
Damn.
I was 10 off.
On April 9th, 1990, in a single overtime game, they shot 80 free throws. They made 61 of them. So 61 of their 119 points.
I got that.
And the person with the most free throw attempts in that game was Kevin Johnson with 24. Tom Chambers had 22. Kurt Rambis had 12. Eddie Johnson had 11. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Trivia time.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
All right, Matthew, anything else you want to tell us before you jet out of there? Any other observations from inside the arena that you want to share with the Jamsters and the Geek Squad before you take off?
No, nothing. Just a painful win. I mean, I'm sure you went over it, but just the ending was atrocious.
Well, we haven't yet.
They have to go back through the film. Yeah, go back through the film and see what the hell happened, right? That's what Booker said. But, it's a win, and tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, SunsGeek, and everybody tomorrow. If you guys do celebrate it, I don't know if it's a religious holiday or not, but it is.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Go not sit in traffic. All right. Yeah, the fourth quarter, I think it's a good time to talk about that fourth quarter. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns give up 40 points to the Golden State Warriors in the fourth quarter. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, all the scrubs. I mean, 12 minutes was played by Dario Saric. You had 8 minutes by Brandon Podziemski. You had Trace Jackson Davis for 6 minutes. Corey Joseph played almost the entire quarter. What'd you see there? Like, was it just purely the Suns leaving or taking their foot off of the gas pedal and disengaging? Or is there something that we should be worried about?
Again, I'm a little torn on this, but I do agree that, and I saw some tweets about this, and I agreed with all of them. I think one of them was even from our son's daddy, Dave King, but pretty much I think the Suns did take their foot off the gas. They didn't, pounce when they should have, because you just talked about it. The Golden State Warriors had their bench in, guys we've never heard of, you know what I mean? Or guys that most of us have never heard of and don't know that much about. And I give credit to Steve Kerr, man, because he sort of did a great job of keeping Clay and Steph on the bench long enough for his bench to build momentum and get back into the game. That was great job on his part. But again, the fact that I'm saying that, the fact that I'm talking about that the Warriors bench, guys we've barely heard of, pretty much led the way to this comeback is sort of embarrassing. And
Yes.
and look, I've always come to the defense when I say you can't give the Suns unrealistic expectations, and I will continue to defend them on that. But that doesn't seem like it's an unrealistic expectation to pounce on the other team's bench and to hold a lead and to hold the leads consistently and to, again, just rip out their throat when their 2-star players are on the bench, man. Like, I'm trying to say as positive as I can, but this is a consistent thing. More red flags are going up. I don't know how to explain it, man. I really don't. And you and I could sit here and watch the film over and over, and I feel like next game or the game after that, like, is this going to be a continuing trend all season? And what is the solution, man? Like, I don't know, man.
I will say this. There's two different things in motion here that are both true at the same time. One, the Suns did have their starters out there longer than the Warriors had theirs. Their star players stayed out there longer.
Yeah.
And that's where my frustration comes in. Is I get that you're up by 23 at one point, but put this team a fucking way.
Preach.
Put them away. And there was an opportunity. I mean, the team was up by 9 when Frank Vogel decided to pull Booker, to pull Durant, and pretty much just leave Grayson Allen out there. I think he was the only one left from the starting unit. And they instantly gave up 2 points, come down, turned the ball, a fast break, turn the ball over, fast break, and he had to call timeout and bring him right back in.
It's embarrassing, dude.
So my frustration is like, listen, second team unit, have some fucking pride.
Yeah.
Like, don't go out there and just start trying to Harlem Globetrot shit around. Go out there and have some pride. Play some basketball. Play with some offensive or defensive sets. Do something that's productive and that is transferable moving forward, because that's how you garner minutes. And that's what the frustration is to me. We won the game, but I wanted to see more from our depth because I think that we are a deep team. I really do. And that was kind of frustrating. So, again, as you mentioned, we'll see if this is something moving forward, if this is a trend, or if this is something that hopefully starts to go away.
And let's be real, too, man. Like, in all fairness to the Suns, this is the NBA. These are the best players in the world. And again, there's no defense played in today's NBA, but that's the trick. That's sort of the hard thing to kind of analyze and break down is why is this consistently happening? You know what I mean? And even
Rodriguez says, remember, guys, this was a back-to-back. That is
exactly. That's where, me, I'm a both sides of the coin kind of person, sometimes to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're in what game? I don't know. I'm bad at math, 15 or whatever, but it's a continuing trend. It's not a good trend to be on.
It's not. And we got to get better than that. So I will say that I was hanging out on the subreddit for the Golden State Warriors, which is a horrible place.
It's probably very dark over there.
Oh, it's not fun. It's not fun. But I was there for you, Jamsters. And this is the subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Yes, I went again. This time as Batman. Because I had to not let them know that I was Darth Voita from the Suns Jam Session podcast. And here's what they were saying about the Phoenix Suns on the subreddit for the Golden State Warriors. Nurkic wearing some kind of fuzzy slippers. What the fuck are those? That's a great toy you got there. What are those things called?
Funko Pops.
Funko
you know me.
Pops,
I'm a huge Batman fanboy.
Yes. That's why I did this, just for you. But yeah, they're like, Nurkic is wearing fuzzy slippers. Saric is a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Is it me, or is someone on the Suns broadcast continually plugging in a phone? KD is such a troll that USB sound for his free throws is actually triggering. It is one thing that opposing fan bases, whenever we go into the subreddit during the game, they hate the fact that they got that USB plug-in thing. It drives everybody crazy. Like, they'll always comment on it. They're like, dude, I thought like my phone had unplugged and replugged. I didn't know what was going on. So if Booker hangs up his boots, he'll have a great career in Hollywood. And the half of the fucking subreddit for the Warriors was just dogging Booker for flopping. And I mean, the entire time they were bitching about fouls, as well they should. 52 free throws for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, it's ridiculous. As Sir Hamo says in the chat, again, from the Aussies Suns fan podcast, if you haven't stopped by there, please check them out. Says Scott Foster tonight, 81 free throws, 5 technicals, 1 Chris Paul ejection, 2 upheld challenges, a 3-hour game, elite performance from the GOAT. It was a Scott Foster fuckery tonight. Back to the subreddit stakeout. Booker, underrated, unethical hooper. It's mean. The difference between 34-year-old KD and Wiggins is huge. If I'm CP3, I'm getting some swings in. Fuck that. 5-point play by Foster, the real MVP. This quarter is balls. And then my phone blew up and I stopped checking the subreddit stakeout. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was your subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
We're back. Eric Gordon had a really good game. What were your thoughts on him tonight?
First off, props to your vocal cords right there, because if I would have had to do that, I would have ended the show because my voice would have been gone. So cheers to you, man.
Sweet beer to
I'll drink some water on your behalf because of that. But yeah, Eric Gordon, man. This is why we got him. I think it really is as simple as that. Time. Just a guy that can just be in what, I mean, he's been starting obviously as of late, but a guy that can come off the bench, can hit some big time shots when needed. You know, a veteran in this league for many, many years, been in many different teams and situations and everything. I've loved everything that I've seen with Eric Gordon. He's also playing a boatload of minutes, man. And we've seen some games where sometimes his first halves are a lot better than his second halves, but I will take it, man. That's the exciting thing about what Eric Gordon brings to this team. And props to him. And again, speaking of him playing a lot of minutes, shout out to Grayson Allen too. Like, they're playing a boatload of minutes, being as productive as they can be out there. And I love it, man. I'm all for the Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen.
Low-key MVPs for this team. I mean, like, you need their stability and they're providing it.
Yep.
And tonight was they flipped the script, if you will, because Eric Gordon was very unproductive in the first half. He's only 0 of 3. He wasn't aggressive like he normally is. And he's 4 of 9 in the second half, 3 of 9 from beyond the arc, 13 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, a rebound. Eric Gordon played absolutely fantastic in this game. And you nailed it when you said it, SunsGeek, that, you know, he is so vital to this team and such a great pickup this offseason by the Phoenix Suns. So let's give out some hardware.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder to subscribe, rate, and review. Give us a thumbs up if you're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Rate us 5 stars, write a review, and we'll read it right here on the podcast. I'll let you go first, as you are the guest on my show, even though if I'm on your channel, I'm the guest on your show. I don't know how that works. Okay, this is here. We'll do this.
It is all your show, man. You've been hosting. You do an excellent job. You and Matthew do an excellent job of the post-game pods. Much more organized and more fun than my shows. But anyways, that's not what
your
this
shows
is about.
are fun.
Thanks, man.
Your shows are fun when the dogs start barking. You got to take a drink of water. Hold on, everyone. I got to go take a shit. I'll be right back. But we're live streaming.
Exactly, man. Or how many times have you heard me say one-man show on my show? But anyways, to answer the question, you know what, man? I'm going to keep on pushing the KD MVP narrative. I'm going to keep on pushing that till I'm blue in the face. Kevin Durant is my jam star of the game. What about you?
I'm same boat, and I'm looking at, I'm logging these this year, right? And this is now the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th time out of 15 games that I've given KD the jam star of the game. And you know what? I'm changing. I'm going to say Scott Foster. I'm typing that one in. I'm putting in Scott Foster, jam star of the game. He changed the momentum of the game. So, boom, there you go. That'll be fun to look back on the end of the year. I'm like, okay, so I gave it to Wemby one game. Booker here, Katie there, Grayson Allen got one. Oh, Scott Foster. Oh, yeah, that was the ejection game. So, a lot of jamsters agree with you, though. Once again, it's KD. Ozzy Suns fan podcast does give it to Scott Foster because of course they would, because to them it's not Thanksgiving, it's the 4th Thursday in November. Katie and Gordon from Michael Kolb, the refs from Nathaniel Darius, Book from Lazy Sasquatch, Katie and only KD, my dog barking, Chris Paul, can't give KD jam star with that 4th, fair. So anything else on this game before we preview the next game and get out of here for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, man. Just real quick. And you guys know, especially those who watch my channel consistently, you guys know I can't read, but that's okay. The NBA's last 2-minute report came out. I don't know if you saw this already.
Already?
Yeah, it came out. And this is from Kellen Olson from Arizona Sports, who we all know, who did the interview, the pool report, if you will. And this is crew chief Scott Foster following tonight's Suns Warriors game. I don't know if you can see it, but it's all right there. It's a little blurry. But pretty much what Scott Foster said was, what was Chris Paul upset about that led to the initial discussion? Foster said that foul called against him at the 23.5. Then another question. Why was Chris Paul assessed the first technical? For unsportsmanlike conduct. And then question. How did Chris Paul escalate the situation to be given a second technical foul leading to his ejection from the game? Scott Foster. He continued to complain and received a unsportsmanlike technical foul. And then what was the reason for Kevin Durant's technical foul late in the 4th quarter? By NBA guidelines, respect for the game, players cannot throw the ball against the stanchion, which there's
you see it happen all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, and again, it's all right there. Just go look the NBA's 2-minute report. It's all right there. I didn't know Kellen ran that interview. That's pretty cool, but yikes. NBA, seriously, if you're watching, please do something.
Do something. Do something.
I mean,
jeez. Well, next up, the Suns are going to Memphis, which is kind of your neck of the woods, on Friday, a Black Friday game, 3 p.m. our time, which would be what, 4 p.m. your time?
3 or 4-ish. There's like an hour difference. It used to be a 2-hour time difference.
Yeah, now it's 1 because but 3 p.m. Arizona time, we are taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. This is an in-season tournament game. So the implications with this game, there's a lot of here's how it works from an in-season standpoint. If we win this game, we would end the group play of in-season tournament play 3-1. Our only loss being the Lakers, a game we choked away in the 4th quarter. Depending on our point differential and the performance of some other teams, if they end 3-1 as well, and we have a higher point differential, then we get in. So if we can just smoke this team and win by 20 points, we have a current point differential of plus 13. So if we have a point differential of plus 33, we could get into the in-season tournament. So just go out and beat the shit out of the Grizzlies, right? Now, are you going to this game, SunsGeek?
Yes, I am. For those of you who don't know, I know it's a big shocker. I do not live in Phoenix, which absolutely sucks. But yes, I do live in Memphis right now. And I'm actually going to the game because I blew it last year. I could have went to both games last year here in Memphis. I didn't do it. I don't know why I didn't do it. So my sister and I put our money together. We're like, screw it, we're going. We actually got really good seats, which I'm hyped for.
Hell yeah.
Game since like 2019, dude. I'm hyped. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to need you to send me the invite link so I can like hop on for a couple of minutes, show you guys the arena and all that. I'll probably do like a solo live show or whatever on mine, just real quick, probably from the arena as I'm walking out and all that. Can't wait, man. Friday is going to be an incredible day.
Hell yeah, that's going to be awesome. So tune into the Suns Jam Session podcast after the game. SunsGeek might pop in just like Matthew did to give us kind of a look at, was it FedEx Arena? Is that what it's called there?
And I think they should have their in-season tournament court. And I'll tell you what the vibes were like. I'll tell you what the fans were like and everything.
Yes.
And, it's going to be pretty cool.
Perfect. That sounds fun and fantastic. Yep. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to Friday. Let everyone know where they can follow you for those who are watching on my channel, and then I will do the same for people on your channel.
Yeah, just search SunsGeek and you will find me. Obviously on YouTube, always doing live shows and videos, YouTube Shorts. Find me on Twitter or X or whatever, TikTok, MySpace, you know the drill, all those social media links. Just search SunsGeek and you'll find me. And seriously, John, thank you again, and Matthew. Thank you guys for always inviting me on and letting me, upload this to my channel as well. You guys are awesome. I hope you and your family and your loved ones all have a great Thanksgiving. And I know you're a big football guy, so enjoy the football tomorrow. And I'll definitely be having a few of these tomorrow and Friday. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. And for those on SunsGeek's channel, if you don't know who I am, my name is John Voita. I part of the Suns Jam Session podcast, which you can follow at Suns Jam on all major social media platforms. You can follow me at Darth Voita. Just look for the most viral tweet of the night, and that's where you'll end up finding me. And you can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com, where I am the managing editor and a credentialed member of the Phoenix Suns media now, which has been really, really fun. So same to you, SunsGeek. I can't thank you enough for kind of being like our third amigo, helping us out whenever we do one of these post-game podcasts. You're always willing to help us out, so we truly, truly are thankful for that as we head into Thanksgiving. And to everybody watching, make sure that you enjoy your Thanksgiving. Unless you're international, enjoy your 4th Thursday of November. But no matter what you do, folks, go home and love your family.